Hey guys, it's hey, welcome back, Vijay. How guys? It's been how's it going? How you
Good.
guys doing?
Oh, it's
good,
good. Good. We're good.
good evening all. Good
We're,
evening all.
we're trying to. We've been trying to look at the planetary alignment outside, but it's so cloudy in London you can't see anything.
Oh, is that today?
Yeah.
It was yesterday and the last couple of days. I think the peak was
Okay,
yesterday, but couldn't see anything. Just see clouds. Nothing else.
okay. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I need to look into that and see. Um, yes. So Vijay, you've been away from us a month and stuff, and
Yeah.
traveling and everything. How have you been?
Good. I'm glad to be back home. I really am. I just want to stay put. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to enjoy the cold of London and just be here. I did want to share some bits of music that I came across, if I can, if that's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Go
Oh,
ahead.
of course, it's what we're here for.
So I went to see David Nathan last week. He was a writer for Blues and Soul.
Oh, he looks like Joe Levert.
He gave me a copy of this. He curated this album with Donald Cleveland. There's a track on here called "I Want to Be Bad Tonight," the dub mix, which Stevie will know well, and it's got some remixes on here. If you haven't got that dub, it's a remix by Trini, and Trini is Herb Middleton and Redhead Kingpin. So it's a Redhead Kingpin.
You sent me that amazing gift. Thank you very much, sir. I can
That one,
personally
that
thank
one.
you now. Thank you for sending me that.
That's the one.
It's a cassette single.
So that's the cassette single. If you can get that, the 12-inch is really hard to get, but this album, if you haven't heard it, it's really good. It's a 3-disc set with Levert's. It's called When It's Right, the anthology. I wanted to show that to you guys. I wanted to show this to you guys.
Oh.
This is Walter and Scotty from The Whispers. This album is produced by Kenny Burke and Portrait. For Michelangelo Salisbury, Philip Johnson. The New Jack tracks on here are brilliant.
Oh,
So
amazing. Amazing.
I wanted to share that, and only because Nnamdi is such a big Teddy Riley fan. There's this delicious "My Body and Soul."
Wow, the picture
Where
cover.
Teddy Riley used to work with Greg Marius. I love this. The instrumental of this is just brilliant.
I've never seen that picture cover. I've only got it in like a black sleeve, my copy.
I don't know if you can see the track listings there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very good. And because it's Tammy Lucas, this was her first record called Hey Boy.
Okay, wow.
This is brilliant. Produced by what's it produced by? Boyd Jarvis and Timmy Regisford. And Timmy Regisford is all over this Today album that we're going to be talking about. This bit that we're going to talk about today. That's it. I just wanted to share that. And I'm going to stop sharing now. You guys carry on.
No, that's good. Last exit to Brooklyn. Yes, we'll definitely would love to have a drink from you, in the near future. And everyone that's coming in, please remember commenting and getting involved. NJS man, welcome. Yes, I mean before we start, I mean it is I guess it was sort of sad and poignant that Big Bub he lost his father on Thursday, and and in one side they were excited that we were featuring him in the group, but he's still then also on the other hand grieving his dad, saying that he never left his side towards the end. So we want to send a shout out to Big Bub and his family, and the other news was the guy who coined the phrase New Jack Swing. Andrew, do you want to say a few words about Barry Michael Cooper?
Sure. So, way back in like 2001, 2, 3, when I was like writing the NJS Forever website to really kind of tell the story of New Jack Swing, I remember seeing the name Barry Michael Cooper. And it was kind of back then when the internet wasn't like really flush yet with information. It was like, according to legend, writer from the Village Voice named Barry Michael Cooper coined the term. And then 3 years later, he actually writes me and says, "Hey, there was no legend. Like, I did it. Like, let's talk." He gave us an interview, and he was really a friend of the site for the next like 3 years. Like, and I could say so much, but really, even though I have a lot of like respect and affection for the man, I mean, the writer community, you know, in terms of the journalists, they really, really respect Barry because he broke barriers in terms of writers, particularly Black writers, at the Village Voice and in the industry. So the man is a legend. Haven't even gotten to the films yet, the Harlem trilogy, but New Jack City, Above the Rim, Sugar Hill. It was a giant ripple effect. So, you know, I can't say enough. You can already tell from the way I'm talking. It really affected me and inspired me to do even more to kind of keep this celebration going for the music and the movement. And the fact is, he named it. He identified it. He gave it an identity that we could then share. So rest in eternal perfect peace, Mr. Cooper.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, I will, and I got to off camera, got to connect with him first on Twitter, then by email. You know, trying to get him on the show, and he, you know, at the moment he was going through some loss, you know, family members. But the fact that he said he was aware of what I was doing was almost knocked me off the feet. He said he just loved the fact that we were celebrating Teddy and Bobby and New Edition and just being able to keep the positivity. And so the fact that he was aware that was an awe of me. But as I said, I kept it on the wraps because I wanted to respect him as well. But yes, just 66. So yeah, that's you know, New Jack City. And I came some of the other films that he put together and stuff like that.
So did he actually write the screenplays for them?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
As a matter of fact,
yeah.
I was gonna say,
No.
yeah. So there was after the Harlem Raises a Genius. You know, this was about Teddy Riley, New Jack Swing. Then he wrote another story about New Jack City Eats Its Young, and that was also in the Village Voice, I believe. And that's when Benny Medina and Quincy Jones saw that article, and they hired him and said, "We want to make a movie out of this story." I think it was Nicky Barnes, but I want to make sure I don't have that incorrect. But really, that's how it all started. And then from there, there was a guy named Jeffrey Pollack, who I think was a producer on that film. And Jeffrey, I think, was involved in the other two as well. So that's why they are all around Harlem, because really BMC at the end of the day is a Harlem guy. And one of the things that also he brought up in my interview with him was that New Jack Swing wasn't just simply the blending of hip hop and R&B. It was the blending of Harlem hip hop and R&B. And that's the difference between, say, like a, you know, Money Earn and Mount Vernon, Heavy D, that was more of a Harlem vibe, whereas Def Jam and Russell Simmons was more of the Queens vibe. So just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Yeah. So this was dishonoring the late Barry Michael Cooper, who coined, you know, best known for coining the phrase New Jack Swing, but also writing, among others, the screenplay for New Jack City. I want to welcome you guys who are joining in. Big Mike, welcome. Zach Hussein, welcome. It's always great to see you.
Can I say something really quick?
Yes.
Me and Zach actually met for the first time after knowing each other for 20 years now. Zach, what's up, Zach? Thank you for joining. Zach actually designed the very first flyer for NJS Forever. This is the party that both, you know, Stevie and Vijay were at. It was at the I'm not gonna get the venue. I don't want to get wrong, but I know it was September 13th. The flyer was orange. Guy was on the cover, and Zach did the flyer. So after all these years, I still remember Zach, and he actually happened to be in Las Vegas for work. Found 3 record shops. He gave me 2 recommendations. I'll be posting a pic later, but just wanted to say what's up, Zach. It's all love. This thing is worldwide, baby. Indeed. So
definitely. We want to welcome Miss Sevignon out in France. Always great to see you. Jonathan David, I'm glad you could join us today. And yes, we've got Miss J, who is part of the crew, but and comes on different episodes. So there's a balance. But yes, so we were just honoring the late Barry Michael Cooper. And for those who are just joining, as we're celebrating the music of the group today, unfortunately, Big Bob's lost his father this week, I think on Thursday. So it has been sort of bittersweet for him, you know, to appreciate the fact that we're celebrating the group, but also as he's mourning. So we would do it. We'll try and do it. Do our best to celebrate. But anyway, just as before we get into the music and the catalog, what are your thoughts? I'll start with you, Vijay, and Stevie, then Andrew, about today. When they came out and in the midst of Guy and all that stuff. So just what your thoughts about them.
For me, I think I thought today that first album was just absolutely magic. I loved it, and I remember looking at the credits and reading the credits, and they're a little bit older than me, so I was trying to understand what the personality of each of them was like as a younger person. So I would have been in my mid-teens at the time when I listened to it, something like that, early to mid-teens, and yeah, I love them. And I think that they, as Stevie said earlier, today is a group that absolutely deserve their flowers. And we've done a few podcasts now, and the response we've had for today has been a lot more than any other podcast that we've done. If you permit me, I just wanted to acknowledge a long list of people, if I can. If that's okay.
Do it.
Okay, I'm going to try and be quick. Bobby Rossavia, Andres Liptai, and Andre Geen Wiffering, Anil Bondu, Anil Sharda, Anthony Prater, Avon Ace Marshall. These are all people that have reached out and saying that this is something that they're looking forward to.
Did you say Bobby Rossavilla then?
Right.
Yes.
Wow. Baby.
Bashir Shukain, Brandon Wright, Brent Wiley, Brian Deaton, Carl Smith, Cerezo Mourinho, Claude John Lewis, Daniel Munoz Plaza, Devel Bo McKenzie, also a writer with Blackstreet, David D'Amato, David Wynn, also a producer with Teddy Riley's production crew, DJ Heavy DJ AHX, DJ King Raja, Derek Soppit, Dirk Schubert, Double Cool, Ejo Foka, Eco Daja Wasita, Elvira Elkabout, Erwin Johan, Francis Brobby. Bob reached out this week just before his father passed away as well. Guapo, Apex, Bibbs, Hafiz Abdur Rahman, Hitesh Vora, James McQuaid, James Super, Jarrell Mason, who worked with us at NJS Forever, Jimmy Anthony, who some of you will know, Joe Elworthy, Joseph McCadden, Cad Groove, Kurt McKenzie, Linnell Gardenhire, Larry Hamilton Sr., Larry Chief Singletary, who is obviously a member of the group as well, Mandeep Panasar, Manuel Taymora, Mark Toe, Marco Ortemeyer, Mark Price, Mary Panos, Matthias Bagstrom, Mehdi Def Swing, Melvin Pepito Bacon, the fourth, Michael Anthony, Michael Patso, Morgan Nakumbla, Nasser TDJ, Nick AR, Nilson Vieira, Omar Sharif, Paul Nijman, Peter Weinberg, Rasan Hill, Raj Moda, Randy Sirius Wiltshire, Raul Pinto, Rob Love, Roddy Laver, Rodney Vanderpool, Ronziel Newsom, Ross Mortimer, Saloni Merok, Shai Nair, Spec Turner, Stephen Rogers, Sver Benson, Tim Banerjee, Tony Brasco, and Ty Harper and Westy Berry. I'm really sorry, it's a long list. People, it was so nice to see so much of a positive response for this group, because they don't get enough flowers and they're so good. I can't wait to talk about these songs.
Yeah. Stevie, what about you? What's your thoughts on the group and the music?
Well, I just want to say good evening. A chance to say good evening to everyone watching tonight. I also want to say a very good evening, special mention to my new AI girlfriend. I've got a new AI girlfriend. I've called her New Jack Girl. Hold on a minute. She just sent me a message. She said, lovely to see you guys tonight. God has sent you all to make New Jack Swing great again.
Oh God.
There you go. That's from my new AI girlfriend, New Jack Girl. God has sent you all here tonight to make New Jack Swing great again. And remember this all. There's only men and there's only women. Thank you, please. There's only men and women in this world. Anyway,
Sounds like a keeper, Stevie.
Sorry.
She sounds like a keeper.
Oh yeah. Anyway, my lingering, lasting thoughts on today is when they put out "Why You Getting Funky on Me." As a teenager, I remember having to get on a train on my own for the first time to go into the big city because I was a small teenager back then. Because I really wanted to get "Why You Getting Funky on Me." And I first ventured into the local black music import store, went to the counter, and there's a big guy behind it. He says, "Hey, mate, what can I do for you?" And I says, "Have you got today? Why are you getting funky on me?" And he went, "No." And I said, "Well, what do you think of the record?" He goes, "I don't like it." And I was crushed. I was absolutely crushed. I've never forgotten that. But what I did find on the floor in the box was a 12-inch copy of "You Stood Me Up." So I had to leave with that record. So that was my first venture of the group today, and I've never looked back since.
Yes. Great track. Andrew, what about you, Mr.
Wow.
R&B?
All right. So I think on this podcast, I tend to kind of really show my heart and show my feelings and show my brain and my mind. And I think that with this particular episode, like keeping it 100%, keeping it just 100, like I've always respected Today. I've always considered them like absolutely like part of the nucleus, if you will, of the whole New Jack Swing movement. However, I think that me as just a music listener, like I before this episode, I could probably name like maybe 4 songs. So when you guys were like, "We're doing the top 10," I'm like, okay, I gotta listen to 2 whole albums and record them and speak intelligently to them. It's not gonna work, you know. And I tried not once but twice to get out of this episode, but they're like, you know, and basically, I'll tell you what. I think in life, whenever you want to say no to something, ask yourself this question: are you saying no from a place of knowledge? Like you actually know what it is that you're saying no to, and you've been there, done that, done the t-shirt, got the t-shirt, and now you're saying no? Or are you saying no from a place of ignorance where you actually don't know? And I would say if you're saying no from a place of ignorance, you might be making the wrong choice. So that's why I came. That's why I listened to the album. And I'll tell you what, I have been enriched. I have learned a lot. And I absolutely can speak enthusiastically about the top 8 of the 10 songs that I picked. So I'll save the rest for more in the show. But there's so much knowledge and growth and personal development that has erupted from this episode. So thank you guys for bringing this up. I'm excited.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's really great to hear, Andrew. For me, just wrapping it up before we get into the emblem, this came out in around '88, and we've just received we had the Guy album, and this was, I would say, this is when I got really introduced to Teddy, because I remember one of my real good friends, Shola, saying to me, "Do you know the guy who produced Him or Me is the same guy who did the Guy stuff, and he did My Prerogative?" And it was like, this was like me for the first time listening to music and connecting the dots. And so, being a massive fan of Teddy, I followed all this around. But Him and Me was really big when I remember back in Nigeria at the time. And just the even Why You Get Funky on Me of the House Party soundtrack. I mean, House Party and House Party 2 were probably one of the most underrated soundtracks, because it really, I think those really ushered in a new generation of soundtracks, and they had a real funky track on that. I need to find out if Teddy started the production, and then when he split with Gene, everyone else took over. But we'll get into that when we talk about the song. But yes, I mean, I've always respected Bub, and in a later episode, we'll probably talk about when we rate him among New Jack Swing singers with Aaron, Dizo, Joseph Stone Street. Where does he fit in? But a group that unfortunately just didn't get their just dues, and so it'll be interesting for us just to listen to the songs. 2 contrasting albums, one very much New Jack. Another one was almost starting off to be New Jack and then slipped into R&B. And so I was quite divided on New Formula because it was like half and half. But as I said, when we go into our songs, you'd see some of the stuff that we put out there. But Marco, welcome. Last Exit to Brooklyn. Yep, Deja, another amazing album. I mean, we may do an episode on GR Productions one day, and this all the things that came out of that camp. But yeah, without a delay, well, Vijay, we haven't seen in a while. We can probably start with you and see what you had as your number 10 on the list.
Ooh. My number 10 is Self-Centered. It's a Characters production, Troy Taylor and Charles Farrar. It's a great New Jack track. I really like it, and I think lots of these songs could have been singles. I really do. I think off both albums. But my number 10 is Self-Centered, and yeah, it's an up tempo as you'd expect, and love it.
Okay. Stevie,
I got to say on that track and the production, the Characters production on the second today. Oh,
it's killer, man.
I'm counting now. How many tracks did they actually produce? Was it 3 or 4?
they did 4.
How many we got here? They got 1.
4. Yeah, they did 4.
They did 4 tracks. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. To me, Today had 2 lead vocals. I know people go on about Big Bub a lot, but we never seem to mention what was the other guy's Chief.
Yeah.
Come on, guys! What?
He sounds great. I was listening to him.
I think I prefer his voice more than I do Big Bub's, to be quite honest.
He sounds great. He sounds fantastic. He really does.
So for my number 10, I've gone with a ballad. And the reason why, not only his voice, but there was a certain sound, a production sound on quite a few. When you talk about a New Jack ballad, it's like this very strong bass groove sound. And you'll hear it in 911 tracks. You'll hear it on the Basic Black album. You'll hear it on Guy Piece of My Love. You'll hear that it's this really strong, slow, bassy grooves. And on the number 10 that I picked is Take Your Time. So I've gone with a ballad from the first album, Take Your Time. That one there.
Okay.
Take your time in life. Da, 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 da. And I think they actually use that track. If you go back to the Mind, do you remember the Mind album, Vijay? Have you got the Mind?
This one?
Yeah, there's a track on that that's very similar to Take Your Time. Very similar. A lot of the real hardcore jackheads I'm sure there'll be a few comments in the moment, but that's my number 10. I really thought it was a fun ballad.
Okay.
Mr. Andrew.
Red flags and yellow flags are about to be thrown. All right. So I was talking about how this episode made me inspect myself, okay? Analyze myself. So I'm going to give you 2 things. Number 1, when I think about my favorite artists of all time, it's Janet, it's Michael, it's New Edition. Then I go to the music that I like in New Jack Swing, and it's like, yeah, I got Guy in there, but again, I'm more like Troop, I'm more like High Five. And then I saw this clip. It's a comedy clip by a guy named Ace Vane, and he's just really funny. And it was a Johnny Quest spoof where they talk about, why are you an unk why are you trying to be a YN when you're an unk? And unk means uncle, like old. Why are you trying to be old? Why are you trying to be young when you're old? So being an unk, trying to be a YN, I'm not going to tell you what YN means, but you can figure that out, is kind of lame. So now let's go back to New Jack Swing and my taste. And I realized when I analyze the voices of, say, an Intro or a Big Bub, I realized these guys sound older. So Andrew, are you like a musical ageist? Like, do you discriminate and you actually lean more towards younger sounding voices versus older sounding voices? And the answer was yes. And that was my eureka moment from literally 2 hours ago. Now, this is going to explain why Take It Off is number 10, okay? Because
Take It Off. Do that again.
Take It Off. No, so Take It Off I remember even like as a kid, when that music video came on, I thought it was kind of creepy and smarmy, because if you're an unk and you're older and you're trying to tell a young girl to just take it off, it just seems kind of eh. And then my parents were in the room, which made it worse, because like it's like, what are you watching? What is this dirty music? So I have a negative like connotation to take it off. So between the idea of older sounding voices, and then like if you heard like Luther Vandross singing "Do Me" by Velvet Revolver, like how creepy would that be? It would be terrible, right? So because Bub has that young Luther voice, he was talking about take it off, it just didn't really hit. Okay, so that's what I learned. And again, I pride myself for taking a look and saying, Andrew, what is it? Like what's going on here? And I know for a fact that even though I'm damn near 50, I have a young spirit. I'm young at heart. So musically, I lean more towards the younger sound. The new edition, even though they're old as hell, I'm sorry, they are. They still sound like Ralph still sounds. So anyway, that's all there is. The comments have been nice to me. No yellow or red flags. So guys,
that's a good start. That's a very strong start.
Yeah.
So take it off, right?
10.
Okay. Mine was actually similar to Vijay, self-centered. It's strange because it doesn't sound like this. The chorus is self-centered, but it was an interesting sort of track. But yeah, that was my number 10. That's off the new Formula album, Self-Centered.
So they're talking about the ladies that were a bit full of themselves then.
Yeah.
Kind of what's happening now in the old dating spectrum, you know. I can't even go down that rabbit hole for the ladies, you know what I mean? Well, men are going their own way, allegedly. I'm seeing all over the place at the moment. Because these ladies are a bit self-centered.
Self-centered.
All these years on, and you know, they were saying something right.
Yeah, take it off. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's correct. It has the similar vocal structure of "She's Mine" by Basic Black, and it wouldn't surprise you that actually Basic Black were the music band, the band for Takes for Today. So they were initially, that's how when they were initially, Gene saw them and hired them as the band, and saw an opportunity to actually, they had a female lead singer, but she decided, you know, this is not going to work. Went back to New York, went back to Georgia to become a doctor, and they got Diesel and put him as the lead singer. And so that's why, sounding wise, you may see some structure there. But Vij, what's your number 9?
My number 9 is another character's
Iron
production.
5. Yep. Another character. Yep.
Every Little Thing About You, off the second album. I love it. It's great. I did want to say, I don't know which track it was off the second album. I think it was one of the tracks was with Daryl Adams was on there. Daryl Diesel Adams is.
Yeah, that would be I've Got the Feeling. Yeah.
I Got the Feeling. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, Every Little Thing About You, in the same vein as Self-Centered.
No one.
And there's a rumor that Teddy was more involved in the second album than he's given credit for, because he's not given any credit. But I don't know how true that is. I've never spoken to Teddy about it. I don't know.
Well, if it was, I'm thinking which tracks would he been involved in? Because there's some very contrasting sounding tracks on this album that don't sound like Teddy. The closest thing to a Teddy track is Why You Getting Funky on Me.
Yeah,
and that
but also, that would be.
Yeah, Zan.
Maybe I Got the Feeling. Maybe.
But then no, but you think about it, Zan, all of that, they were all together. So it would not surprise me if Teddy started it off, had the sound, and Gene just said, "Okay, Zan, you guys just continue. Just here's it's already laid out, because that's a Teddy sound, and you know that's a complete Teddy sound." And everyone that worked on that particular track, everyone I worked on the track, if I don't have the disc go with me, you'd see it's Dizzo's there, everyone was part of the crew. So Teddy would have started it off. And I remember Spec talking about how sitting down in the studio and just watching Teddy just constantly churning out sounds. And when the whole split happened, he just left it. So, yeah.
And in contrast with Teddy possibly being a ghostwriter on some of this, the characters have said that they were ghostwriters for a lot of the New Jack Swing stuff. So I'd love to know what songs they did, because they started in that New Jack Swing mold, and obviously the characters developed into whatever they became. So that would be an interesting conversation with Troy Taylor to find out what they ghost wrote for other artists, because they're clearly very talented.
Yeah. So yours was what was you had
Every Little Thing About You was
Every Little Thing About You. Okay. Stevie, what about you?
Before I give you my, I'll give a shout out to a guy called Pretty Rico Bands. He's got a new album out. It's a bit hard to see on that. It's called A New Jack Thing Volume 1, the album. Very obviously the title, it's got all the cross colours going on. It's hard to see on the phone. But he's on YouTube. It's on digital at the moment. Pretty Rico Bands, A New Jack Thing Volume 1. It's got a new video out for vibing. I think you guys don't like it. He's trying to bring the new Jack back, you know, and as God has sent us tonight, God sent us here tonight to bring new Jack back. So anyway, let's get to my number 9. And I'm in total agreement with you, Vijay, but Every Little Thing About You. At number 9, I like the characters, jazzy. I love the jazzy piano.
good.
Yeah. Oh, what a track that was. Great up-tempo flowing new for me. Big Bub on the vocals. Great track, you know, from the second album.
Brilliant.
Andrew.
So my number 9 is him or me. Just kidding. No, number 9 is actually a song called Style. And, even listening to it today, though, I was like, oh, man, like this could move up, but it's all good. I'm just going to stay with my initial, my big story behind that. It's just number 9. We'll keep it moving. But, I think that song will continue to grow on me as I familiarize myself with it.
Do you know what it sounds like? If I've got this right, Bobby Brown's "I'll Be Good to You."
Yeah.
It's very reminiscent of that. Sounds a bit dated now, but yeah, it was a good track. That very good track.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I'll say one more thing. And it also kind of annoyed me because it almost reminds me of like Janet Jackson, "Lonely," and "I Get Lonely." And you got Style, and then you got Big Bub. I like your style, so it's like, I remember thinking that. But anyways,
another good choice. That Andrew, really good choice.
Yeah. I mean, that's my number 9 style. Nice Teddy stuff. It was one of this. I'll Be Good to You. The Bobby stuff. There was a track Teddy did for the Jacksons. Is this She or Her or something?
She.
It had one of those type of like, okay, it's a nice track, but it's not the hardcore one. So, but I did like it. It sounded like something that New Edition probably would have sang. Style, and I'm thinking most of the production. It just didn't. It felt 80s type of stuff. Some of the other tracks felt like they could have been in the 90s and on, but Style did feel like it was sort of 80s.
Fair.
Yes. Okay, number 7, V.
Number 8.
Oh, 8, sorry, yes.
Yeah. So sticking with the song that you two have just talked about, my number 8 is Style.
Look at that.
And I will just say that Brent Wiley, one of the members on NJS Forever back in the day, he basically said something very interesting about that song. He said it was a proto New Jack Swing song, and I agree with that. I think it was the beginning of a sound. So Teddy was developing a sound. Style has everything. There's a lot going on in that song, so I can see why he said that. But Style's fantastic, up tempo, proper track. as good as anything from the time. And yeah, that makes my number 8.
Wow.
Mm. Okay. What about you, Stevie?
I wasn't a big fan of the album mix of this, but I had to put it in the top 10. I was more of a fan of the 12-inch remixes and also the dub mix. The dub mix of this track is probably one of the best New Jack Swing dub mixes. Dub mix is done by Timmy Regisford. And people say, why is there no bass in New Jack Swing? Well, go and listen to the dub mix of Today, Take It Off. Ba-da-bum, bum, 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 bum. Ba-da-bum, bum, bum. Oh, it's an absolute... There's no vocal in it, apart from the chorus, but it's just Timmy Rick going... Ba-da-bum, bum, bum, bum. Oh, amazing dub mix, though. Take It Off makes it number 8 for me. More for the 12-inch mixes, though, which are incredible. They give it that house dance element, and it just took it to a whole new level for the remixes, as they normally do anyway. Baby, can I have a moment's peace? Yeah, Take It Off.
Okay.
I get moment's peace. It's one or the other, isn't it?
Yeah. Andrew. Okay.
So I also did some reading before I got on the show, and I was surprised to learn that this next song, according to what I read, was the only one to go to number 1 in the R&B chart in the UK. So, and I also shout out to the late Bernard Bell. According to what I read, he was the original member of Today, but they were called something else. I think the Gents. And then he left, and then Teddy put him on as the 4. But that's really cool. Anyway,
Who's that?
Girl, my eyes. Oh, what did you say?
Who did you just mention?
Bernard Bell.
Okay. Yeah.
So Girl, I Got My Eyes on You is actually number 8. Now, I'm gonna kind of embarrass myself here because I know Big Bub by name, but I know that one has a different lead singer. Is that Chief? You guys said? Like, who did you guys say was the other? Yeah, it's Chief. Okay, cool. So I like that, and I also love, Nnamdi, what you did with one of the promos for the show. You did a Soul Train performance of them, and they're actually dancing in those black suits, like New Edition to that song. And I was like, okay, like that's more my vibe, right? So like that's why I was like, girl, I got my eyes on you. Anyways, I just sang for the first time on the show. Anyway, I like that song. I'm a little surprised it's number 8 now. That might go up as well because that's really
Marco red flag.
I remember now. There is a song called "Walking into Sunshine" by the Force MDs from their Step to Me album, and it reminds me of that song. If I was actually a DJ, I would put those songs back to back. They're both sunny. And they're both like they got that. Yeah, there's something about it.
The original track is by
Carrie Lucas. Yeah. Carrie Lucas.
Yeah, brilliant.
Show me where you're coming from, baby. Listen to Carrie Lucas. Show me where you're coming from on YouTube, Andrew. And you'll see where it's coming from.
Do you know the Blackstreet song that sampled Girl, I Got My Eyes on You?
Ooh. No.
It's a remix, so maybe that will help.
Say that again. Say that
Blackstreet song that a remake of one of their tracks that used the Girl, I Got My Eyes on You.
I don't remember that. Remind me.
You'll say it, and then we'll be like,
Judy's got it going on.
Oh
She's
yeah,
like that. So the remix of I like.
Yeah, remix.
So,
one of those.
Judy's got it going on. I like. She's like that. Sometimes I get the feeling that I want to get with you. So if you, I was listening to it, I said, wait, I've heard that song before, and I thought it was riffed. Judy's Got a Boyfriend. Right. I was like, no, it's not there. Then I got the Blackstreet, the 20 and the Japanese version, and had all those remixes on, and it was in I Like It TR Uptown version. Judy's got it going on.
Well spotted that.
Like that. Yeah.
Well spotted.
I said I'll pull that, but because as I said, there's that familiarity. So that was mine is Let Me Know, and that's from the New Formula. It was, and I'm just going back to that now because it was the particular track was It was written by Bernard Bell and Larry from Today. So it had the type of like if this was a Teddy guy type of sounds and stuff like that. But yeah, that was my number. And I do wonder, it would have been really different to see if Teddy had spent more time on this album, if what it would have done. Because if you think of it, the second album came out in 1990, so this is when Guy was coming out with the Future, and to see what the direction it took, if not from the characters. But yeah, that was my number 8. Let me know.
Oh, it made your top 10 then.
Wow. Yes, yeah.
I love that song. Let Me Know is fantastic. Bernard Bell gem. It's amazing. So good. There's a part of me that wants to put it at number 1. I love that song so much.
Which one?
Let Me Know. It's just so good.
Okay.
Do it on loop and just let it play. I feel like I'm meditating. It's so good.
So, Vijay, what's your number 7?
My number 7 is Trying to Get Over You, which is produced by Nat Adderley. I just love the vocals. I think it's a really lovely song. Odd choice, I think, perhaps. And my only ballad, I think, in my list. But, yeah, I like it. And, who's that? Last Exit to Brooklyn mentioned Troy Taylor, The Way You Move. That was on Warlock Records, so that's when he was trying to break. I think it's only on a UK 12. That only came out in the UK. But very good song. But yeah, that was my number 7. Trying to Get Over You. From the second album.
I mean, it's interesting, those Nat Adderley Jr. tracks, very Luther-esque in production sound. Do you think Luther rejected those songs and today picked them up?
That would make sense because, like, Bob's known as Baby Luther.
Yeah,
I have a thought, actually. So Nat Adderley, he's actually an example of someone I did not know of until this episode. And I was like, this song, like, first I said Randy Rand because I was thinking of Johnny Gill track. Then I looked and said Nat Adderley. So then I said, okay, I want to know who did Just Another Lonely Night. Guess who did it? Nat Adderley. So really, Just Another Lonely Night. I love Johnny's album. Is the same dude who did like the song we're talking about, Trying to Get Over You. So Nat Adderley, he was unk. Like he was like born in 1931, so he was already like when he was doing this New Jack Swing, he was already like like Pipe and Slippers, like super old, making R&B tracks. And he's a jazz, I think, trumpeter or something. So props, man. Like that was real musicianship. So thank you guys for talk. I just had to jump in there because Nat Adderley, like I didn't know who you were until this episode, and now I want to get into more of your stuff.
But I love that somehow you managed to connect New Editions.
Twice. He's done it twice. But I would say about that song, it reminded me of a song that if Michael McDonald's, it was one of those songs where if it was sung by, goodness, I'm just thinking about some of those soul white singers back in the late 80s. If they had sung it, it would have been a Grammy-nominated song. That's I really rated. Yes, yeah. So I just rated the song so much that I thought, wow, it just separated them. It just felt like a completely different song in the album. It felt really good, and I think that was a track as well as Gonna Make You Mine are probably the tracks that Bob got his record deal from. It's like, oh, okay, it's, whatever happens today, we're gonna have to sign Bob, because I think it was those are the songs that was like, okay, yeah. But anyway, you just that was who just had that? Was that you, Vijay? Yeah, yours was, that was you. So, okay, Stevie, what about you? I'm sorry, we just jumped in.
It's interesting you mentioned that ballad, but I must admit, I bought the vinyl version of this first before I got the CD. So imagine getting home and playing side 1, and it's all pure New Jack. Oh, fun. Oh, you're in New Jack heaven, and then you flip it over button, and then you get in. What was the first track? Trying to Get Over You is the track you mentioned, and the huge change in mood, whole vibe, and I thought, fair enough, get myself through that. Then you're going next to I Want to Come Back Home, another.
I want to come back
home.
No.
And then you've got, after that, you've got another ballad, Home Is Where You Belong. And then finally you got
anyone.
I'm ready for my sleeping bag, guys. Oh my,
anyone.
really strong ballads, but I'm like, how did they go from this young sounding New Jack group to this like Luther, like suited and booted, bow tie type dinner? I was honestly, I had the sleeping bag. So to my delight, when I get to track 10, I thought, oh, go on then. It's probably another ballad, but we'll go to track 10. And then dun, 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 then it comes on. Gonna make step by step, gonna make it. And I thought, oh, that's the track for me. Another character track, really funky. I think it got covered as well a few years later. Was it a year later? Wendy Moulton did a version of it, Step by Step. Again, produced by the characters, so they gave it to her as well. But Gonna Make You Mine makes my number 7. Great way to end the album. I say it ends the album, but if you get the CD, you get 2 CD bonus tracks. On the vinyl version, it ends there. So Gonna Make You Mine, really strong swing track, and it woke me up from my ballad bliss.
Andrew.
So you guys brought up this song a lot, so that made me feel a little better. It's like, okay, I think I'm on the same page here. Let Me Know is my number 7. And I remember thinking to myself that Let Me Know was more that younger sounding, like, up-tempo vibe. But I want to take this opportunity to bring up something else. So a lot of times if I listen to a group, I like it when there's more than one lead vocalist on the track. And I feel like with a lot of today's stuff, it's either Big Bub or it's either Chief, and you never actually hear them both sparring at each other. New Edition, you hear multiple. Troop, you usually hear Alan and Steve. BBD, I'm saying you get the point. Whereas with today, it's either this lane or it's this lane, and I'm like, yeah, you gotta mix it up. It makes it a little bit less dynamic for me as a listener. That said, though, even the lyrics of Let Me Know, it's literally like, yo, like, I'm feeling you, but if you don't want to like let me know that like it's good, I'll get with your cousin. Like, it's all good. Like, it's kind of like, and that is definitely not Unk language. That is YN language. So anyhow, number 7, lucky number 7, Let Me Know.
Great.
Okay. My number 7 was going back to the debut album, and it was another Teddy masterpiece, New Jack. You stood me up. Yeah.
Great tune.
Yeah. As I said, it was why are you? Yeah, it's you can still those are elements of why you wanna no, that was prerogative. Some of the
Nnamdi, I'll be honest, I was trying to hold it in, but I just gotta say it. I feel like You Stood Me Up absolutely has Teddy Sham in there. There's a part where it goes girl jam, you hear it?
Yeah. Well,
girl, so I always I love. I'm getting goosebumps. So I was gonna save that for when I talk about it, but it sounds like I'm like, I just gotta jump in. But I love You Stood Me Up, so you all know that's coming up. Sorry, I got excited.
No. Yeah, we appreciate that. So that was my yes. I can't master Andrew's energy. So read number 6.
My number 6, and I like all of the songs now. I feel bad putting them as low as I have. Or like "Girl, I Got My Eyes on You" is my number 6.
Yeah.
I absolutely. It's my number.
What you talking about, Willis?
All of these songs are so good. Yeah, they're all great. I'd happily swap this for any of the ones above it. But yeah, "Girl, I Got My Eyes on You." I love it. It's just so melodic, so catchy, so hypnotic. I could listen to this on loop. There's so many of these tracks I could just listen to again and again, not having to change the track. You know, when people say pick an album that you can play without skipping a track, I can play the same track over and over again without skipping it. I'm happy. Girl, I Got My Eyes on You is one of them. So
yeah. I think it was. It felt like guys I like such a, they didn't officially release it, but it became a big classic, and it was like, it was almost like, what did they label, understand the power of the track? And I think it was their first one to get to #1 on the R&B charts without having an official video or release. And it's just crazy about the power of music. But Stevie,
if anybody card, and I think, I don't know about red card, maybe a yellow card.
It is hard, yeah. It is hard because when you get to the top 6, you 2 albums as well, Marco. It's 2 albums, so it's hard. Yeah, Stevie.
If anybody watches the YouTube channel, Wojak on YouTube, any Wojak stories, there's a bit in it where it goes, "What?" There's this guy's voice goes, "What?" And it's just reminded me of when you said, I got my eyes on you, but what did you put out? Number 6.
Number 6.
I've got Wojak's voice in my head going, "What?" Anyway, my number 6 is who had stood me up at number 6?
No, I had it at number 7.
Number 7.
Stood me up.
So we're at number 6 now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Right, I've got stood me up at number 6 then. Vijay, I'm sure, remind me now, I've got a picture cover 12 with the album mix and the instrumental on. And I'm sure is there another 12 with an extended mix on?
I think there is.
I'm sure I've got that somewhere.
I couldn't find any of my Today stuff today. I was trying to find it
somewhere.
I've got it. I have got that.
There's definitely an extended mix of that, though, isn't there?
There is. I think. Yeah. I think is there a dub of that? I think there's a dub on that, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll have to have a look on Discogs just to remind myself.
Sure, there is.
That was actually my first Today record that I ever bought. Was the 12-inch. I paid £4 for it. It was in a box on Record Shop on the floor. It had a lovely picture of him in a different kind of suits and that. The only thing I was disappointed, I thought, well, I'm buying the album mix here, but it had the instrumental. I thought, you can't go wrong with a Teddy Riley instrumental. So I'm having that for 4. That was my first thing. So number 6 stood me up.
Okay.
Great track.
Yeah. Get DJ all day.
Hey, we got Glenn Jones, the famous singer Glenn Jones.
I was wondering about that. Is that the Glenn Jones?
Never know.
Bernard Bell actually told me you were his favorite singer. He said that straight up in my interview with him. So that's you, Glenn. Passing on you love in 2003.
DJ all day said why both the Basic Black thinking was today, but yeah, as we said earlier, to Basic Black were the music band for today, and so yeah, there was just one family.
Stevie, sorry, there's on that 12-inch you mentioned, there's the extended version, dub version, and a cappella. So yeah, it does exist, and it's also a picture cover.
Nice.
Really?
Yeah, and the other one is just You Stood Me Up, an instrumental.
Yeah, but that's the one that I've got a picture of. I'm sure in my copy of You Stood Me Up, the extended, I'm sure I've got it in just. I need to look at it on Discogs to remember.
Maybe it's not Discogs, but there's a picture cover one with the extended and dub as well. If for those
interesting. I can't remember now. Knight, what was your number? What were we on? Number 6?
Number 6.
So Miss J, she was on the show, and every song, it felt sounded like something else, right? Now that's now totally in my brain, right? So whenever I heard I got the feeling, you know what's playing in my head? It's driving me out of my mind, right? Yo, I got the feeling and Poison are cousins. And I was actually wondering which one came first. I bet you Poison came first because that was March 1990. So they probably had time to go, oh, that's hot. Let's jack it. So they probably jacked it and then it worked. And that's where I feel the punk sound worked. It was it was a good mix. If I heard I Got the Feeling, I would absolutely down on the dance floor. That it worked. So it's surprising that it's a number 6 because it makes you think I don't like it that much. But no, that song is dope. But I do think I Got the Feeling was a very strong and probably, I would argue, potentially their most underrated up-tempo that actually was a single. Like it's easy to forget that one's out there, but it is. And it's hot, in my opinion. So that's my number 6.
It should have done much better.
Number 6.
Yeah.
Oh, the 12-inch mix of that, right? You get the voice at the beginning, and then it drops down. You get this keyboard sound. It goes dun 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 dun, and you're like, oh, this sound.
That's the new Jack. That's the new Jack version. The other one's a bit more. It's a bit harder. This one's a little bit more new Jack. The one you're talking about. Love it.
They kind of you don't have the album mix on the 12-inch mix. When we got the Master Cuts LPs, it was on that.
So good.
Oh.
Yeah, it was Poison Part 2.
Number 6 and number 6. Wow.
That's got to be a red card. That's got to be a red card. Somebody give that a red card.
I know what moment there.
My number 6 is Girl, I Got My Eye on You.
Oh, what is going on?
I think it's if you think of the ones that I've put up higher, I think at the time it probably wouldn't have been something that I would have really jammed to the same way as I would some of the others. But it felt like the foundation of a lot of Teddy's sort of, the trumpet type of sound that you'd hear in We've Got Something in Common and the stuff he did with Patti LaBelle. What was it? This Love Is All. When he did these, he produced 2 tracks with Patti LaBelle. He did the All This Love remake, and he did This Word Is All, or something like that. Yeah. So it has the sort of foundations to when he was doing that type of when he later on would do some of those tracks like that. But so yes, Girl, I Got My Eye on You. Maybe the falsetto was probably the reasons why. I wasn't as keen on the falsetto voice of Chief in it, but it was a great song.
There's just a red. It's a red card all day.
Yeah, I've got some bigger songs up front and stuff like that.
Right, you do this to me. You do this to me every time on this podcast, man. You always do this.
Okay, first of all, so
Andrew.
Marco just basically, and I'm like, yeah, the internet. Come on. He just said that Poison I Got the Feeling produced by Dr. Freeze.
And Spider-Man. Yeah, Spider-Man and Freeze. Yeah.
So there it is.
It was, so Howard T's also, and then Stanley Brown, who, if you guys know Stanley Brown, who did Christopher Williams' I'm Dreaming. So he was, when I interviewed, he talked about just being under Teddy and learning all the stuff, and he did a lot of chop rock stuff. So if you listen to it, there is the element of the Teddy part, like Stanley's playing the keys and stuff, Howard T being part of that whole uptown sort of family. So you could see the influences that was put in there. But it was the blueprint of Poison, and they just mix it around. It should have been a bigger track, though, especially with how Poison blew up. But I don't know if Motown dropped the ball on that. Okay, so that's number 6. Vijay, number 5, with top 5.
So I just wanted to say to Marco, Girl ranked too low. I Got the Feeling ranked too low. There is a list, which is everybody's aggregated list. So we will look at that at the end, and maybe your songs might be higher in that list. So yeah, but I understand it. This is all subjective. My number 5 is a part of me wants to put this at number 1, and everybody will think I'm mad because it's an album track, and it's already been mentioned today. It's a Bernard Bell classic for me. It's Let Me Know. I think it should have been a single. I think if you'd released it as a single as is, and then you had Teddy come on and do a remix of that, you're done. You're done. Let Me Know is just a very special song. So for me, it makes it to number 5. And also about Stanley Brown, I think Stanley Brown could out New Jack almost any New Jack Swing producer. Stanley Brown's a very talented boy. He's very, very good. Yeah.
Or what was that gospel track? Do you remember what they called Company? Did you get an album by Company?
I
They did a
have.
track called Angel.
Oh yes.
Dear me. Angel.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
and Stanley
go
Brown
back and listen to
track.
that. Go back and listen to that track by Company called Angel.
Look at his Instagram as well. He put this track on a few years back, and he'd just done it in the studio 5 years ago, whatever it was, and it's as good as any New Jack Swing track you ever heard. And he just did it in 5 years ago, in 2020 or whatever it was. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah,
But
I mean, he did. He did Drew Hill's first single. Not Tell Me. What was their very first single?
Drew Hill, Tell Me.
I think it was Tell Me. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Tell Me.
initially was Dave Hollister, and then yeah. I mean, he's probably one of the most underrated producers out there. But you know, he did he was on the Express Yourself for Salt and Pepper with Jackie singing the chorus and stuff. They did that. So yeah, he did all the chop rock stuff. Yeah,
he's done so much, and just for Andrew's to perk up Andrew's ears, he did "Slick Partner" by Bobby Brown.
Wait,
Right, yeah, he did.
which
So
song?
if you remember the song "Slick Partner" by Bobby Brown.
I actually am not. I can't say I'm familiar with that one.
What? Andrew doesn't know a Bobby Brown song? You need to get off this podcast right now. Listen to it and then come back on. Then we can talk about it.
I'm lost. Slick part. What album was it on?
It's on a soundtrack.
It was on a soundtrack.
Okay.
Panther? I think it was on Panther.
Yeah. Panther soundtrack.
Okay.
yeah. Stanley Brown. Yes. Okay. So Stevie, you're number 5.
Number 5, I think this was the only track where you heard Teddy on it, and he's on the telephone. You know.
Yeah.
You know, extended mix with Matt Dunn, and then it comes in. So I'm talking about Him or Me makes probably more for the. I love that deep piano groove on it. And then you could hear Teddy on the telephone come in. Him or me. Him or me. So number 5 is Him or Me for me.
What?
Him.
That's so low. Him or me?
No, number 5. I got four other big tracks.
It's tough. It's tough now. It's really tough now.
Oh, me. All the big tracks are coming out now. The big bombs are coming out.
Yeah, over 2 albums.
Oh, me.
Over 2 albums. Okay. Yes. So Hezekiah Walker and the Love Fellowship Crusade Choir.
I've not heard that.
That was Stanley Brown.
Wow. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. Also a solo from my homie Stanley Brown. Yeah, a man named Hawk. Okay, Andrew.
Yeah, I want to also acknowledge last exit to Brooklyn mentioned the Black Flames, and I'm mad because they actually did a nice remix or a remake of Watching You. And it was a very New Jack-ish, and it's just like, man, what the hell? It's not. I can't find it anywhere. Anyway, my number 5 is Nate Adderley's "I'm Coming." I want to come back home. So that ballad, yeah, it's my number 5. I was like, man. And I believe that was a single, which is crazy. Like it was the last single from the second album. And I'm going, they made the right call there. I wonder what happened. But it's great.
It was they put it on. It was on a promo. I don't think they did a video or anything, but it was intended to be a single. Definitely was. It made it to radio, and then I don't think they released it properly. So I don't know what happened there. But I agree, it's brilliant song.
Yeah. My number 5 is following up with Stevie. It's Him or Me. I think my initial disappointment with the video is that Bob's dressed separately from the guys, and I doubt if he would have wanted to do that. But it was that sense of we need to push a lead singer, and when Guy wasn't doing that, I don't know why they try to do it with Today. Because Bob being so imposing, a much better dancer and vocally, and then having the others, they created that sort of Gladys Knight and the Pip stuff. But I think they eventually went back to everyone dressing the same, but Him or Me. And but as a kid, I remember this song, just that sense of, you know, when you listen to, one of the things that got to me when I was listening to both albums is the sense of men sort of really, women were held with high esteem, and it was like, come on, make a decision. Do you want me or him? And if you think about music today, where they're slagging off the woman and they're saying, yeah, you can do this, and I'm listening to this, I'm thinking about how men had standards. Okay, you're self-centered, or I'm going to walk away. Is it going to be him or is it going to be me? Which would make a choice? And so, quite an interesting song, but definitely a proper New Jack track. And Him and Me is my number 5.
Nice.
Watching you.
My number 4 is You Stood Me Up. I love the song. I love it. It's just, I know it's not played as much. I know it's not listened to as much, but this single, it's just magic. You Stood Me Up.
Stood me up.
The dub mix of this is killer. It's so good. That's my number 4, and I think for my top six, I think all of the top 6 are big hitters. I think, You Stood Me Up is number 4 for me.
Okay, yeah. Stevie, what's number 4 for you?
Number 4 is the track that I literally chasing all over to get a copy of on 12-inch at the time. And funny enough, I found it in my local town in a small shop called Vibes. It was a UK Motown promo in a white sleeve. It had about 5 or 6 mixes on. It was £1.99, I think I paid for it at the time. And I was just so happy to get Why You've Got Funky on Me. I've been going all the way to the big city and being told, no, I don't have that record in stock. Having to go back all the way back to my small town and find it and getting on, I've got the record. Why Are You Getting Funky on Me? From the House Party soundtrack, of course. Classic New Jack Swing track. The number 4, unfortunately, but it's in the top 5. It's a great track.
Okay.
Maybe I've heard it one too many times, but I still love it. A big shout to Zan. Zan, where are you? We need
Where's
you.
Zan? Yes. Everyone has been asking about Zan.
For an interview.
Where are you, Zan?
Everyone's been asking about Zan. Everyone's been asking about where Zan is, and why you want to, But as I said, to me, that has all the hallmarks of Teddy. But I'm looking at the credits, and backing vocals was by Dizzo, producer was Gene Griffin. That's Teddy Riley then. Gene Griffin is listed as the producer. Associate producer was Dave Way. That's Teddy's engineer. So backing vocals was by Zan, and it was written by Gene Griffin and Zan, and that's Teddy Riley and Zan. So Zan wrote it and Teddy produced it. So
I'm sure we asked Dizzo. I'm sure we asked him, did Teddy have anything to do with that track? And I'm sure he said no. We'll have to go back to those interviews we did with Dizzo.
I think so. I think, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Gene, if Gene's name is the producer, there's no how that's not Teddy. If because Gene only did that with Teddy stuff, and he didn't do that with anyone else. Because you can't hear Why You Want to Get Funky Me and not hear Teddy, especially if you hear I Like Your Style. But I will follow up with Mucho.
I mean, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. We've all seen loads of interviews with Teddy Riley. What could you ask Teddy? I always thought about it. If I got to meet with Teddy, what would I ask him now that he's not been asked before? And that's probably one of the questions I'd asked him is, did you do any work on today's Why You Getting Funky on Me? And I'd ask him about that Billy Davis track as well that's been long forgotten. Do you remember the Billy Davis? Because nobody talks about that track either. So have a think about what you could ask Teddy that he's not been asked before. Because we've heard the Michael Jackson stories now, the Jane Child. We've heard all that. You never even talking about the Danger album that they did. And all that other stuff.
Which Danger album?
The Danger album.
Deja,
yeah.
All the stuff, all the GR production works never really get talked about, do they?
Yeah, I think we touched upon this in a previous episode, but it's always interesting listening to the GR sound, so the GR production sound, and the sound that Teddy had after that.
It's so
And
different.
Which do people prefer? Because I think both of them are they're like, I love them both. I like the GR production sound is just magic. And then you've got, that more refined sound that he came out with like After the Future and beyond, up until 92, 93, then whatever. But yeah, they're great questions. I think you should definitely ask.
If you compare like the today sound of Him or Me to the Big Bub sound of I Like Your Style, there's a big difference there in the production, the New Jack production sound. Both great records, but he obviously changed what he was working on. The stuff, the beats, he's probably changed his drum machines, keyboard sounds, everything. But, to get to that point. Anyway, where are we up to? Andrew, it's your number 4, please.
Number 4.
My number 4. So, I'm definitely someone who's into the music more than the lyrics. Like lyrics, I kind of see as decoration to the music, per se. So people are more into the lyrics than the music. But this one I'm going to talk about was one that lyrically kind of hit me. And I think the music matched the lyrics. So the music was very melancholy and kind of dark. And the music was basically, the lyrics were to Trying to Get Over You. And I got to say that, there's not many times I've gotten my heart broke, but I'll never forget that feeling, that hopeless feeling of, and then the worst part about it was when she's like, trying to get over you like you told me to do. It's like, it sounds like they're still cordial. She's like, yo, I still care for you as a person, but you need to get over me because like, this is over. And I was just like, man, this like, I feel the emotion in this track. So while it's not a New Jack track, it's probably just more straight R&B because it's from the era and it's because it's from the album. And because you guys said, what are your top 10 to 8 tracks? I put it at number 4. And then this list is very, again, subjective. It's just what I like. I would never say, oh my God, you've got to put this at number 4 for like all time today song. But for me, it hit me and I thought it was a great song. So that's my number 4.
Which was that again? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Trying to Get Over You.
Trying to Get Over You. Yeah, strong track. It's a strong track.
Brilliant track.
Yeah, I mean, I had it at my number 4. I actually initially put it at almost number 1 or 2. That's how much I really, really loved the song. And it was just, as I said, it was a song that I thought, wow, this could have been in that mid 80s, that mid 80s. This is one of the songs that they would, Luther, it's, just getting Michael McDowell or one of these guys singing it. It would have just been it would be a song that I would be listening to now. And when I first heard it, it was like, oh, this is an old song for this young group. And so it felt out of place. And actually, it does feel out of place, even with I Want to Get Back Home. They just don't fit the album. But it doesn't mean that it's not but it's just such a lovely song. I just love to listen to it. And I just loved how Bob, we were talking about the truth and how sometimes Aaron was yelling and screaming. And I just loved how Bob it's just so effortless, it's like how Luther just sings almost as if, I'm just going to talk naturally. And the way he delivered the song, as I said, I wish I could have put it just a little bit higher. But there were some other songs that are, 1, 2, and 3 that are just out there. But to me, I love a slow jam, and this is to me their best slow jam.
That's
trying to get over it. Yeah,
I love it.
Yes. Vijay, so come on, we're down to the top 3.
So my number 3 is I mainly listen to the full body version. I Got the Feeling is brilliant. It's the full body version is the New Jack Swing version of this song. So Andrew, if you get a chance, listen to the full body version. I think you'll like it. It's a little bit different from the Poison vibe, but it's more New Jack. I think you'll like it. But I Got the Feeling made my top 3.
Okay. I got the feeling. Yeah, we've spoken about that. Stevie, what about you?
I don't know which. I'm looking at remixes of today. I got the feeling here because I remember we've all done. For those of you watching now, you can relate to this, Vijay. For those of us who collect promo CD singles, we've all done this. We've all been on eBay, maybe in the evenings, and we've seen something on a bid, and you're like, "That's rare. Someone's bidding on it. How much am I going to bid on this to get it?" And you've got an idea in your head of how much you're going to spend, and and suddenly with the lack of 30 seconds to go, you get this crazy rush of blood because you've seen the bid go high, and you put a ridiculous, and you win it, and you're so happy that you've won it, but you realise I've just spent about £80 on a CD single. Some people spend more, hundreds of pounds. I'm like, I've just busted £80 on a damn CD single. But I'll tell you what, when that Today CD single, is it the one with the 12-inch full mix? The 12-inch full mix.
That's the one.
When that came, I was ecstatic to get hold of them. That's it. It's completely different. Completely different mix.
One more thing I wanted to say about the Today cassette covers.
Show us that there. Show us that. Tell you what, Snap.
Yes! Love it.
So he sent me this. He must have had two. He sent me a copy of Snap.
So Today they have like plain picture covers. They have the Motown sleeve, but with the cassette singles, I think 3 or 4 of them, they all have different covers. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Did they put any of the remix? Because this one's got the radio edit on. Did they release the cassette single with the remixes on?
I haven't seen that. I'm sure maybe somebody has it somewhere. Actually, I think Zach picked up a copy the other day of "I Got the Feeling," the maxi single with the maybe. I'm not sure. I've got to ask him.
Okay.
But yeah, all good.
So I got the feeling.
A good feeling.
All the mixes, the album mix, that master cuts mix we talked about earlier, that promo mix with some of us have spent ridiculous amounts of money on. Yeah. Again, classic New Jack Swing record. Is it number 3?
Okay. Just
Nnamdi,
as we
what are you talking about? What are you talking about? DJ knows.
Yeah, no. DJ all day was saying "Go Eagles," and yeah. So Eagles are playing the Washington Commanders for the trip to the Super Bowl. So
how much is that worth now on CD? That's a £40 CD now. That
is it?
You can't get that cheap now. You can get this one. You can get this one for about £2. But this one, it's a $50 CD.
Wow.
And Andrew and Nnamdi are going to look at us like weirdos, like why we keep doing that. The Japanese one that came out in 2023, and it has an alternate version of "Why You Get Funky on Me" that was not on the original album. Wow. It's also got the 2 extra Bernard Bell tracks, "No Need to Worry" and "My Happiness," which
Andrew, what's your number 3?
All right, so a couple things. Number one, the whole collector world is a trip, and I'm fascinated. And I was talking to Zach about it, and it's just like I love the ability to actually put a dollar amount on an album. That's cool. So when you say that it's like a $50, value, I think this actually works well with what I'm going to say. And I apologize for the feedback if I'm causing it. But in any event, the top 3 songs I have, any one of them could have been my number 1. Mm-hmm. But the one I have at number 3 is an example of a song that I heard back in '88, Halifax, Nova Scotia, Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, college radio station. Shout out to James McQuaid from MCJ and Cool G. They were a act from Canada. They called it double R&B, but it really was New Jack Swing at the end of the day. And I heard "You Stood Me Up" back then. Now, after that, I heard Teddy's Jam. And then I recognized that musical progression. And it made me wonder, did I imagine "You Stood Me Up"? Or did that song really exist? You know what I'm saying? So when I finally heard "You Stood Me Up," I was like, oh my God, this magical, mythical unicorn that I heard is real. And it was my imagination. So that song has a very special like feeling for me. It just represents for me my first tastes of not only New Jack Swing, but like I'll just say it like straight up because I was living in Canada and it was very not Black music friendly. My first taste of Black music, straight up. That wasn't like mainstream Prince, Michael, whatever. So thank you today for giving me a sense of actual like pride and feeling seen, just being 100% with You Stood Me Up. That's way more profound than you probably wanted, but that's what I do. I just share my heart with you guys.
That's great.
Oh goodness. My what have I just done here? Yeah, my number 3 is it is Poison Part 2. You know, with and as I said, I've just gone through the album credits here. It is produced by Dr. Freeze, Howard T, as well as Spider-Man, and keys and bass by Stanley Brown, written by Dr. Freeze. It was Poison Part 2, and that's I've Got the Feeling. I was surprised it didn't get the same love as Poison. But I think just Motown just weren't great at. They weren't a great label. They were stuck in the past. They just didn't. They did the same with the good girls. They just didn't know how to. I mean, I think they were lucky with Boys to Men. You know, I think they, maybe Michael Bivins had something to do with how Boys to Men did well and stuff like that. Oh, what's going on here? But I would say I've Got the Feeling. Definitely in the top 3. It's a classic New Jack track, even though it didn't have the King producing it, but it was definitely a massive track, and it should have got more love. That's my number 3. So
now, you've just sparked a thought in my head just now. You mentioned Motown and them not promoting albums particularly well. I cannot understand for the life of me why Johnny Gill's Motown debut was not a 10 or 15 million seller. It was just perfect.
yeah.
There's no, I don't know what they did with promotion, but that should have been much bigger.
And
I gotta say, all right. So basically, again, compare Poison to Johnny Gill and Today, and then take the YN box and take the UNC box and put them together, and I think you have your answer. Like, I think Poison had a much more youthful vibe because, again, Ricky sounds young. He got 2 rappers, and that's going to be more crossover as well. Because I think mainstream audiences understand rap better than they do R&B, right? So Poison is the rap one and the young one. Johnny and Today are older sounding and a bit more soul, and less crossover. So that to me is what happened. I think even with I Got the Feeling, it's like there is a rap section on there, but with Poison, like it's pretty rap heavy. There's 2 raps in there. And then Ronnie and Mike are like, girl, I must. They're not like blowing. They're just like, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, I talk a lot.
No, but you're right, because we could all sing along to Poison.
Yeah,
Everyone.
If you look at that era, the late 80s, the mid to late 80s, New Jack was coming out of a very, look at soul music at the time. Everyone was wearing Freddie Jackson with the suits, or Keith Sweat with his knitted jumper. If you try to rid itself of that grown-up soul image, it's coming off the back of that. So that's probably why you had two contrasting sounds on all the albums.
And Johnny Gill's dancing as well.
Nobody's going to disagree with you there. Johnny's dancing ruined the album. That's what you're saying.
I must say it was hard. I was like, there's a whole. I was like, okay, this is a little over. He's a little too excited with that, but yeah. Motown was selling groups instead of the solos. Their plan was today for Toss.
That's right, RD. I almost said that.
It was the Boys and Jackson 5. They just couldn't shift. Yeah. Okay, so number 2, Vijay.
So My number 2 could easily have been my number 1, and I think it's the perfect balance between soul, funk, and hip hop, and I think it's the quintessential Teddy Riley production, and it's today's incredible Him or Me. I love this song. This song should be number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, all the way down to number 10. It's so good. But unfortunately, it only makes it to my number 2, but it is perfection. And I'm probably listen to this song more than anybody else. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Him or Me is fantastic.
Mhm.
I can't get enough of it.
Okay. Stevie.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about Full Force. They still had Jerry curls, didn't they, in the 90s? They couldn't shake that Jerry curl look off.
And you mentioned Belle Biv DeVoe. Belle Biv DeVoe dressed very differently. They dressed young as well. I think that attitude came out with the way they dressed. Like today, we're wearing suits. Maybe if they'd been more street with their, I think that might have had an impact as well. I think maybe.
But again, vocally, you're like, you know, if you're trying to, if you sound husky and old and you're wearing combat boots and stuff, yeah, it did kind of work in the different era because Intro did that. But back then, I just feel like you had to. Anyways, I just think that you've got to be true to yourself. You can't try to fake the funk. And I feel like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it would have helped, but I feel like today is more gentlemanly, more champagne, and not 40s.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough.
But I mean, just the image was massive because TLC were pretty much a male version of BBD. So BBD didn't have a blueprint. There wasn't like, oh, we're going to copy this. This was, you know, maybe you think of Cameo and Larry Brackman with his, you know, the red pants and, you know, and it was like, wow, this is different. And but we look at Guy, I've seen, when you look at pictures of Guy after Timmy, they look like R&B rock stars, you know, the shiny tops and, you know, the boots and, you know, so we think about how Jodeci copied how Guy were. Guy just, they almost gave the image that they were big rock stars in how they looked and how they did their videos. So they created that image that they were big. And yes, I guess with today, and that's probably one of the issues with Basic Black, the way they were promoted on their album cover, you know, it almost looks like a 1960s folk band. If you see their album cover, so different. And so I think Gene Griffin just didn't really promote them well to get the crossover markets and stuff. But anyway, Stevie's on number 2.
If you look at the Second Today album, this guy's hairdo here, the high top, the way it's chopped, I like that hairdo. He had a bit of it as well. Very, very contemporary at the time. The high top fade with the stare going into it. You know, big shout to the barber there. That's probably a
big shout.
$20 hairdo at the time. $20 hairdo. My number 2 is this is one of my all-time favorites. Could have been number 1. It was either 2 or number. It's made number 2. Let me know. You've all mentioned it, but for me, it kills me that. Let me know with the rapping as well. I really enjoyed the rapping, the singing, Bernard Bell production, Dave Way engineered. Oh, master! Great track. Great.
Teddy
track.
probably did some of the production on that because you can't have this. Yeah. Okay. Andrew, what's your number 2?
Believe it or not, in 1991, I had a little Gumby too back when I had hair. But that was also, but mine was closer to Tony Thompson from High Five because he had the Gumby in the Can't Wait in Our Minute video. But anyway, number 2, I'm with you, Beach. It's absolutely him for me. And that easily could be number 1. But I had to be real because I have a very personal kind of story for my number 1. So I'll like save that. But Him or Me, number 2, I could say more, but I think it's all been said. That song is the jam.
Yeah. My number 2 is an uncredited Teddy Riley track. As I said, I think hearing it off the Half Party soundtrack was like, wow. And the vocal, the background vocals, and I think it's one of the things I missed about the '90s was all the background vocals, why you get funky on me, so that's consistent, and then you had Bob singing, and he does his rap, introduces the rest of the crew, and it's probably one of his best vocal performances out, apart from I Like Your Style. That's even though it was the remakes and it was a little change and stuff like that. That I just love the track. It was in the past it would have been my favorite song by Today. I think preparing for this episode, there was one track that just continually played in my mind that I was like, okay, I had to put it above it. But Why You Would Get Funky on Me, amazing track. And as I said, I'll find out one day how much Teddy did before he left on that track. So, Vijay, before we get to number 1, you want to go down from 10 down to 1.
Yes. So my number 10 was Self-Centered. Number 9 was Every Little Thing About You. Number 8 was Style. 7 was Trying to Get Over You. 6 was Girl, I Got My Eyes on You. 5 was Let Me Know. 4 was You Stood Me Up. 3 is I Got the Feeling. 2 is Him or Me. And my number 1 was featured on this soundtrack. Very, very good. Amazing soundtrack. I never understood why Full Force's Ain't My Type of Hype was not on here.
It isn't?
They wanted people to go out and buy their album. Meanwhile, your distribution is probably terrible because I couldn't find their album in Canada. So it's like, what are you doing? Sorry, I got mad because I was upset that it wasn't on the album. Crazy.
I think Full Force came out I think a year or year and a half out before this one.
Man.
It was a long gap. It was like, anyway, so they didn't do it. My number 1 is on here. It's also on this compilation, which Andrew wrote the credits for. You should have a look at that one. And if you want the extended mix of it, you should get this New Jack Swing Gold album because it's got 2 extended mixes of Good Today. I Got the Feeling and my number 1, Why You Get Funky on Me. I think we've talked about it a lot, but it's a classic, and it's a song that when I sing it, I feel free. Like when I sing My Prerogative, I feel free. I feel free when I sing Why You Get Funky on Me, and I am in a different headspace. Absolutely magic. That's my number 1.
It brings back good memories of it. I love I think the pity with the video being sort of outside of New York is that you don't really get to see the group as often because they didn't do many videos, and so but it was definitely a big track, big song. But that's a big that house. I don't think House Party 1 and 2 are underrated soundtracks, but I think the impact on the soundtrack industry could be traced to how that album. I think people saw this as a vehicle to like, we can just be putting big jams and stuff. Because that's probably one of the first soundtracks that I bought, and the second one as well. And
I think you're right. And I've also with NJS Forever, whenever we've done New Jack Swing lists, Big Bub's I Like Your Style is almost certainly always number 1 or number 2. It just is. It's just such a perfect song. I mean, we're not including Bub's solo work, but House Party 2 was another phenomenal soundtrack. And I also loved Ready or Not on there. Like it is that Teddy Riley production at that era was just perfection.
That was him at just the optimum. He just finished the GR stuff just before the other side. I think but anyway, I digress. Stevie, 10 to 1.
I want to mention 2 tracks first that didn't make the top 10. Probably because they weren't on either of these albums. And I'm just trying to jog anyone's memory here to the more hardcore 90s collectors. They returned in 1995 minus Big Bub.
What?
They were called Today Sam Nasty, and they
Yeah.
had a double. It was a CD single and 12-inch. One side had a track called Spin the Rolodex on it, and the other side had a track called I Want a Little Cocoa. I think if you guys hear that, one of them tracks have been your top 10 tonight. But especially I Want a Little Cocoa, that got a lot of plays on Manchester Pirate Radio at the time. It was played all over. It was probably bigger than anything that's on these two albums, actually. It's quite a well-known like pirate radio track, I Want a Little Cocoa. But obviously, they're my honourable mentions. If you can find that single, go and buy it. But it's a great track. Number 10 was Take Your Time. Number 9, Every Little Thing About You. Number 8, Take It Off. Number 7, Gonna Make You Mine. Number 6, Stood Me Up. Number 5, Him or Me. Number 4, Why You Getting Funky on Me. Number 3, I Got the Feeling. Number 2, Let Me Know. Number 1, come on, guys. You're going, oh, it's my number 8. It's my number 7. Girl, I got my eyes on you. 12-inch extended mix. It's just an epic 12-inch mix. Dun, 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 baby. How, what's going on, guys? It's number 1 all day without.
There we
Girl,
go.
I got my eyes on you.
Stevie, I got to jump in. So first of all, another thing, Nnamdi, you did really brilliantly was when you included that clip of the 4 of them kind of reunited, doing that acapella, Girl, I Got My Eyes on You, sounding perfect. It was literally like they're actually doing it all together, and it just gave me way more respect than I already had. So, and it was to that song, Stevie. So I think that with this whole campaign, we absolutely are giving love to Girl, I Got My Eyes on You. I think it's a well-deserved one.
Eyes on you.
Yes. Okay. Andrew, what about you? What's your 10 to 1?
Take It Off, number 10. At number 9. Girl, I Got My Eyes on You. Sorry, It Could Rise, number 8. Let Me Know, number 7. 6, I Got the Feeling. I Want to Come Back Home, number 5. Trying to Get Over You, number 4. You Stood Me Up, number 3. Number 2, Hammer Me. So my number 1, summer of 2008, London, Camden Lock, I think, or somewhere in Camden. It is the last time I set foot in the UK. And we were on stage. There was like we had an NGS free party. There was a stage. And it was the last song of the night. I'd given my camcorder to Shand, so I had no idea where it was being recorded. But myself was on stage. A group called the Wolfpack, the Wolverhampton crew, was on stage. Vijay was on stage. And we're just like soaking it in. And I even felt a certain sense of finality. Like, this might be my last time here for a long time. It's like, it's the end, if you will. But it's being recorded. And when Big Bub's doing, whoa, like, Yeej is like on stage, like lip syncing it. And I'm just like talking to other people. But then when the beat drops, all of us just start doing the Running Man, like at the same time. So for me, it was a memory that was created. And you can go to YouTube right now and find it. Again, I had no idea we were being taped. It was just a real moment of like togetherness. So yes, Why Are You Getting Funky on Me? And it has to be the one on the House Party soundtrack, because the one on the album is a little different. I didn't like it, but the way the House Party one is done is perfect. So yeah, I'm just waxing poetic, man. But that was the one. Like it was for me the end of the first act of my NJS3 journey. Just being really, really summer 2008, man. I'm actually getting a little watery-eyed.
It's a beautiful song. It is. I think it goes down in New Jack history. That track, you know, you can never underrate.
Have you got the TV on in the background there or something?
Oh, the Eagles are smashing the Commanders.
Yeah, you can hear it over the stream, Nnamdi.
No, it's completely off. Yeah,
you can hear it. You can hear it over this. We can all hear it over the stream, Nnamdi.
Big Mike saw what I was talking about. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, no, there's no sound at all.
There is.
I know that there's feedback.
No, you can hear a lot of talking in the background.
Yeah, not from my.
Well, I can hear it. Can you guys hear it?
Yeah,
I think
I can-
it only happens when we're talking. So I think we're good. I think we're good. We can keep moving.
Yeah.
Strange.
My number 10 is self-centered. Number 9 is style. Number 8 is let me know. Number 7 is you stood me up. Number 6 is girl, I got my eyes on you. Number 5 is him or me. Number 4 is trying to get over you. Number 1 is I got the feeling. Number 2 is why you want to get funky on me. And my number 1 is my favorite New Jack album is Basic Black. And one of the songs that I think is probably one of the best New Jack productions is Nothing But a Party. And this was one of the songs that are very similar. And the lyrics and the titles are completely different because when you listen to the title, you're thinking, oh, what are they saying? But when you actually listen to the lyrics, it doesn't correlate. Andrew put it at number 10, but for me, Take It Off. I
Wow.
just love. I was just completely just steady about it. And this is how I actually felt about Janet's All Right, where it just felt like it was extended mix, the original version. And with Take It Off, it was just continuous. It was just a long, continuous stuff, and it was, very short lyrics, but just the chorus and just continuing the beat. So, as I said, you listen to it and you're thinking he's just telling a girl just to take off stuff, but it's not the same thing. So it's strange where they just like, hey, we need a catchy chorus. Let's just Take It Off, but it has nothing to do with what we're singing about. But it will go with it. So I just love the song. Now, as I said, 3 months before, I would have said, "Why You Want to Get Funky on Me?" But as I was just listening to the song, all the songs, for 2 weeks non-stop and repeat, Take It Off was just the song that just said, oh, this reminds me of Nothing But a Party. And I just loved it. And I just loved Bob singing on it. So Take It Off was my number 1. I did have some honorable mentions, which was I Want to Come Back Home, Your Love Is Not True, Gonna Make You Mine. And Sexy Lady reminded me of a Rick James type of track, Rick James, if Rick James had done a production from them. But yeah. But how is it for you? Well, start with you, Andrew, because I know that it was you were hesitant at first. How was it actually just finally reflecting on your list and the catalog of today?
I mean, I would say ultimately, I like growth. I like learning new things. And I like being able to okay, I'll keep it real. I think that when I was first starting out, it felt like a chore. I felt like, man, I gotta listen to his music. I want to listen to something else, but I'll listen to this, fine. But once I got through it, I was like Nat Adderley. I gotta get his name right.
Yeah.
I want to get more of his stuff. I feel enriched. So I think overall, like I said before, I'm grateful that I was made to, I was asked. I shouldn't say made. Asked to come on and talk about this group because now I think my knowledge is a bit more well-rounded. So I'm grateful.
Yes, Stevie, how was it for you?
Not difficult, not really difficult at all, because they were a mainstay in New Jack Swing back then. I'm just very happy that we managed to talk about them this evening. So yeah, all good.
I have to say about Tennis Anyone. I thought the title was cheesy, and I think just black folks and playing tennis. It just felt like, I mean, I understood the whole love and serve and stuff, but it just felt like a cheesy song to me. But it wasn't a bad
Production.
Production was good. But it was just the fact that I just felt it was a little cheesy and corny with it. But it was interesting just to see if Teddy had actually done the work on that, how he would have mixed it up stuff. Yeah, Nnamdi Jr. was known for his work with Luther over the years, and it felt you could tell. Vijay, what about you? What was?
Tennis is the only game where if you don't score, you still get love. That was the opening line. But, oh,
Very cheesy, very cheesy. So for me, I think I'm really glad that we've managed to give these guys their flowers, because today are one of the great New Jack Swing groups. I also need to share the list from everybody, the combined list, which is very different. And I just wanted to point out to Marco and anybody else that said that the list was all wrong. This is all subjective. You've got to remember, this is my opinion. This is Nnamdi's opinion. This is Andrew's opinion. This is Stevie's opinion. But the combined opinion may appease you somewhat. So at number 20, you had I Want to Come Back Home. Number 19, Every Little Thing About You. Number 18, My Happiness. Number 17, Gonna Make You Mine. Number 16, Self-Centered. 15, Sexy Lady. Number 14 was Lady. I saw somebody just mention that just now. Number 13 was Trying to Get Over You. And Tennis Anyone did make it into the top 20 at number 12. Yes, well done, guys. This surprised me only because I love this song so much. Let Me Know was at number 11. Number 10 was Take Your Time. Number 9 is Your Love Is Not True. 8, I Want to Come Back Home. Now, the real end of business. Number 7 is Style. Number 6 is Take It Off.
Wow.
Number 5 is You Stood Me Up. Number 4, Poison Part 2, I Got the Feeling. Number 3, Why You Get Funky on Me.
Oh.
Number 2, Girl, I Got My Eyes on You. Which means at number 1, it's Him or Me. Woo! Yeah. Wow. And Him or Me kind of makes sense because I think it's the song that we connect to Teddy Riley and that sound in our heads. So our combined total took us to Him or Me as number 1.
Beach. So you remember Randy? Randy and he's the one who put together the track list for that New Jack Swing Time Life thing. And that was like the first time I really he was like, Him or Me, that's the one. And so I remember hearing that song, 3, I'd heard it before, but he was like, that's the one. I want to go with that one. What do you think? And I'm like, it's cool. He's like, okay, well, I'm going with that one. So he made the right call. But that's really cool that it ended up being the one. After all those people that you read off, it was like it's a big sample.
There was a lot of people that showed love. And I think it says a lot about this group. So if Wesley Adams, Larry McCain, Larry Singletary, or Big Bub feel that they're not loved, you definitely are. There's a group of us that know who you are, and we are grateful for the music that you've given us. We are so happy for it. So thank you, guys.
Yeah, and I would say that I think the difference between the two albums is that they were given the opportunity to write most of the first album with Teddy's production, and they didn't write as much on this follow-up album. And so I'm not sure how much that affected things. Andrew, feels like you want to say something?
Yeah, you just reminded me when I did my top 10, and this was not planned, by the way, I picked equally from both albums. I had 5 from the first album and 5 from the second album. And when I looked at my list, I was like, well, I'll be damned. That said, I actually leaned more towards the second. And I think it was because of the 2 slow jams. In terms of the ranking, but I still feel like it was kind of cool on my part, if I may say, that I gave equal love to both albums.
Well, I've just checked, and I had 5 and 5 without thinking about it as well.
Yeah,
I've just looked. Yeah, I had
it's
5
a West African thing. Ghana, Nigeria, boom.
Okay.
All right, I have a flex.
Yeah, yeah. So Take It Off was number from the first one, and yeah. But for me, it was definitely, I remember saying to Stevie, "Are you sure we should do today?" And actually, you know, and I think Bob has really, you know, Last Exit of Brooklyn, you just mentioned, Bob has gone on to do a lot of great things outside of today. You know, he sang the background for Prerogative. He was, you know, he was instrumental in a lot of sounds that Teddy was doing, and at Future, you know, a lot of stuff with his own, you know, stuff on. Was he signed to Motown before MCA? I can't remember now. East West, I think. No, he was signed with Sylvia Rhone. Yeah, doing his own solo stuff, and so he's probably the most well known among the group. Um, but actually celebrating the four of them, because when you hear their story, you know, Eric Williams, you know, they all grew up together. Eric Williams from Blackstreet, and he talked about how Bob was, you know, in their church and their group, Bob was the tallest, the biggest, but he was the most entertaining. You know, doing the dancing and splits, and he was singing, and everyone just sort of gravitated to him. But the fact that we're celebrating them as a group, and you know, if the whole GR thing did not split, who knows what could have happened to them? Because I think the new formula was a split between R&B and New Jack, and I think it was like, which way do we go? And we just didn't see them again. But I really enjoyed to this episode. I enjoyed the diversity. I enjoyed the fact that, you know, we all had different songs, Stevie's and Girl I Got My Eyes on You, Vijay, yeah, Why You Want to Get Funky Me with Andrew and myself would Take It Off. And I know it will change. I'm going to miss actually listening to the album, because I had to listen. I've listened to it for a week and a half solid, nonstop, just rotating. So I'm going to miss it. But we definitely thank everyone who joined in. Thanks, you guys. And for those who are just joining in, Big Bob sadly lost his dad on Thursday. So some sort of bittersweet for him and the group that we were celebrating him and the group today. And yet, you know, he couldn't have taken part just due to their mourning and stuff. But yes, oh, thanks, Brandon. It was East West, and then he was signed to Kadar, and I loved his My Way. Is it my love? Is it My Way or My Love?
My Way.
My Way. The Timeless album. Oh goodness, yeah, that was different. But anyway. Thanks, guys, for joining in. Thanks for your comments. It makes a massive difference. We enjoy it, and you know, we'll be back, as you know, in February with another edition, with another album, and definitely we definitely can't wait to see you guys next time. All right, guys. So thanks everyone for joining in, and.